Grohmann, as I mentioned, is Director Digital Hydro Asia at Voith Hydro. He's worked at Voith for 21 years in the fields of controls, automation, and digitalization. Based in Asia since 2015, he's been working in the hydro sector for the past 11 years, and he has a master's degree in electrical engineering. Over to you, sir, and thank you so much for sponsoring the conference as well.
Thank you for the kind introduction, and good morning and good afternoon to all the participants. Before I start with my presentation, maybe a short recap of what I have heard so far. So I think the discussion turns more into a mature stage now. Meanwhile, on digital transformation in power plants, the topic gets away a little bit from technology. That is also good to see more people-driven discussions, more culture-driven discussions in the surrounding here. Education upskilling comes onto the agenda. That is also a topic that we have realized in the past that this is actually hindering transformations to an extent. And yeah, so we have heard in the morning, I think, a lot of interesting presentations. So I think the theory of transformation and how these things to be implemented is well established, and that gives me the opportunity to go a little bit faster over that and concentrate more on solutions that we have been developed. And what I would like to add now to the discussion is the view of an OEM, as Voith Hydro is one in the industry of hydropower plants. So we are an organization, just a short introduction, that is around since 150 years in the industry. We delivered 40,000 turbines into the market and generators as well, up to 850 megawatts. So we supply full line scope, BOP, automation, and of course the critical equipment, so the power units itself. And we also do overhauls, upgrades, and concern ourselves with operation and maintenance services, as well as with training concepts. So now I'll give you a bit of an idea. We had just now the question, what is the better option? Is it an OEM or is it a technology provider? Now, depending whom you ask, you will get different answers, of course. What our view on that is that we, of course, can add here significant knowledge out of our design know-how and out of our experience that we have with the asset. So with the mission critical equipment into that, and this can be combined then on the end of the day with the knowledge that our customers have in operation, and bringing this all together. So this wraps up a bit the vision that we have on how to go about these digital transformations in the industry. And what I would give now in the next minutes is an overview where we stand today. So what are the applications that are available, and why are we actually concerning ourselves with that? And the interesting first question, of course, is what are the key values that drive your success? So the first one we heard is productivity. So that is a very, very important factor that we see in terms of power output. That, of course, drives your bottom line and your top line directly. We look then at the cost impact that operation has on the output of the power plant and on the result. And of course, one topic that was not so much mentioned so far, but we think is also a very important one, is that technology actually can help you to establish a higher degree of safety in your plants. We've seen that in inspection solutions before, but I think we believe in general technology helps you to establish here a higher degree on safety in the plants with higher awareness, and also with the possibility to integrate other tools into the discussion. So now we had a discussion also. We heard about what are the actual results that could be expected, and what we have here is an example of a 100 megawatt plant operated at $35 per megawatt for 2,500 hours a year. And what we see is a productivity increase of 2% leads to $150,000 in top line growth. We heard earlier today that the estimate on the consultant side is more towards 10% of what is possible. So there might be a lot of upside potential that we can't see even today. So what we have seen and what we also experience since we use some of our tools ourselves in our own manufacturing is that there is a possibility to reduce maintenance costs significantly if you digitize them. You get a better visibility and you get a better overview on what is really going on, and that helps you really to get also to a clearer picture where you can start optimizing. And as mentioned before, of course, safety is one of the issues that is always to be addressed. And that would also be something where we see that you get really 24/7 security on that topic. So how does now intelligent hydropower work, or intelligent power plants, I think in general? So this is not limited here, this view. And also that we have seen before in the building blocks, just now with TNB, but also before already. So the first and foremost, of course, you need to have everything connected. On the end of the day, you need to start to collect your data and you need to securely store them. Then as a next step, you start to visualize things. That is the better option to make it really recognizable to a human being. And then you can start on that to work into the direction of optimization. And you can finally run simulations. You can run decisions data-driven in the future, and not just based on your experience. So if you wrap it up, you would say you collect, you visualize, you analyze, and on the end of the day, you have then the possibility to optimize. How such a transformation now looks like? I think also a picture that we have seen already, it starts today, automated plants that to a certain extent are monitored, not fully. So there is certainly the first step where basically sensors and systems should and could be added, what we see at least in the hydro industry. So that is the second step. Then we look into the recorded plants. That was also a topic that we heard earlier. So collecting the data and storing them so that they are basically becoming actionable on the end of the day, and then you can start creating information out of them. And as a next step, then this is a bit a disputable one when it comes to cybersecurity and all of that. As soon as you start connecting mission critical equipment or power plants, of course, you have a cybersecurity question immediately in the room. But we believe that on the end of the day, connecting these plants, especially when you run larger fleets, will be more beneficial to your operations and to the output. So we would say this definitely helps. And once that all is done, you get the data, you are able to connect these plants together, and you can start predicting failures, you can start optimizing the operation and giving real-time suggestions for improvement to the operators. Now, since we are an OEM, of course, what we do and have been doing in the past is now transforming that into a portfolio that covers actually the full range of these requirements. And if you look historically, so what we look here is the typical plant controls as the first step. So I think this is today established technology. Then we come to recorded plants where you add monitoring systems into that, and where you start actually also collecting data as a next step. Then you can add also sensors that are not the typical ones. I will go later on into the details of these products here or these offerings. So I just want to establish a little bit of sense where we think they are belonging in that discussion. So where they can help you. Then we come to the connection, of course, to cloud connections or deploying it on-prem service, as we heard also from IBM just now. This is also a possibility that we support in a sense. So bring these solutions onto premise if there is at the moment too much doubt on connection to public clouds. So we support both. Next one is then going into more data-driven control, going into forecasting. So we will see the details on the system on performance control as well in the next slides. Finally, bringing across the whole plant a concept on how to deal with your asset, how to optimize your asset, how to work with it. And last but not least, then of course, and here I think comes now the real advantage of the OEM, bringing straight away your R&D centers into the game, connecting the plant directly to those people who have built them, and that helps you then also to faster, let's say, resolve problems if they occur. So now, before I go into that portfolio that we have just described and give you a bit insights into the details, maybe an additional comment here. So we support since long time, actually since many years, we support remote support to our customers, remote connections. We use on-call video and these things. So this is all established technology in the house that we use for a while, and we also have meanwhile established systems for training, specifically for the industry, but also to train more on topics of digital transformation, so upskill our own employees in the first place, and now we start to offer that also to our customers so that they can utilize what we have been learning in the past internally also in their own operations. Now going into the portfolio, we split the portfolio, or let me go back once more just to give an overview. So we have split the portfolio basically in a classic automation part, I would say. Then we have the on-care part, which takes care of the condition of the plant. In reality, we have the performance parts then on performance lab and on performance control, and they really take care of how to improve now this basic performance that has been established by building the plant even further during the years of operation. Now let me go into the details of the single offerings. This is the classic automation. I think we can rather fast go over this. This is established technology, nothing what the industry doesn't know. So turbine governors, excitations, and control systems are the basic actually that you need to be even able on the end of the day to establish digital plants. Beside of that, we also run a full portfolio on field instrumentation and sensors that in the plant. So that rounds a bit the automation portion of that, the classic portfolio, let's call it that way. Now, if we come to on-care, then we have two main dimensions here. One is the asset itself and how do I manage the asset. So this goes more into the direction of asset management systems. And we cover the needs in a modular way of these assets. So you can build the asset structures, you can build in the documentations, you can build in your spare parts stocks, you can connect to the ERP systems. So the system is not meant to replace an ERP. The system is really meant to fit into the niche on the front line where your maintenance people are working, and they have a hard time to deal with all this complexity of ERP systems usually. So you want to give them something easy on hand that they can work with, that you can give them their work orders, that you can tell them where the spare parts are, if they're on stock, that you can start ordering, that you can schedule them. So that is what we do in a modular way in the system on KAsset. The on-care health system is in principle a classical monitoring system. But what we have started now is building in that monitoring system more intelligence. So we combine signals already. So we start in the system already to create that information that we heard earlier. So you come from data, but you want to have information. So this is what we mean by do already in that system. So we derive certain health status indicators, as we call them, that give you an idea on the machine condition, not just on one parameter of that, so not just on a vibration, but also what is the context of that vibration, and what could you do about it, and is that a problem or is it not yet a problem? And last but not least, as an additional sensor, we added to this system a acoustic sensor that collects acoustic information about any asset that you want to monitor. Basically, we started to concentrate first, of course, on the power units. And we detect here anomalies on the sound level, so that gives you a bigger coverage on the condition of the machine than you would get with normal sensor types. And we combine that then in the health system with the information that we collect there and get better insights on the real conditions and also start to correlate there. Now, let's say in comparison to a thermal power plant, a hydropower plant has one specific, and that is that hydropower plants are usually a low failure environment. So there's not really much happening, to be honest. And that gives a complexity dimension in terms of AI and algorithms to detect anomalies, because they simply don't have enough data input. To somehow conquer that, we added services to this so that we help basically to improve these algorithms in a kind of a manual way, and that we also start to classify in our labs what we hear and get faster to results. Again, this is not necessarily a problem of the algorithms. This is simply a problem of the environment, and that's why we added services to do that. In addition to that, of course, these labs will help you remotely to monitor your plant, if you like, and it will give you remote support and also give you insights in problems that you may have in this plant that you not even see yet. So that is an offering on a service level where we say, okay, we can help you to be earlier in recognizing problems that you see in your plant. And with that, of course, improve the availability and with that the performance of the plant. So that is the performance part on that. Then we come to on-performance control, and this is now a new offering that we added recently. We are here in a partnership with another company where we work together. So what we do in on-performance control is we look on one side on the market fluctuations when it comes to prices, and we help you to adjust your power plant output on the prices so that you gain more actually cash out of that power that you sell. So this is one part, optimizing specifically on a hydropower plant. You may have the problem that you have a limited fuel, the water that you have in the reservoir, and they're going to use that optimized, of course, on high price times to sell the power. And the other thing is forecasting based on weather data and publicly available data, basically, that we have that we can gain out of the statistic bureaus, that we forecast the water inflow. So basically, this is a fuel management component, and the target here is to avoid spillovers or to reduce spillovers, because those spillovers are actually wasted money and wasted income. So the target is here to optimize let's say the output out of the available fuel, which is in a hydropower plant, simply the water. The power can be fully integrated, so you can decide, do you want to run still manually based on suggestions out of the system, which are in real time every 15 minutes updated, or you can decide you want to run your plant completely autonomous and connect the output directly into the controls. So again, here it helps that you have also the controls in hand as an OEM, and that gives you here an advantage on that side. Now, to be able to do all that, you need, of course, a certain infrastructure. So we have a IoT or a cloud platform, which is called Cumulus. So Cumulus now is a platform that is, again, deployable on any public cloud variation, but also on-premise servers. So this is depending on the decision of customers where they want to deploy that. And Cumulus is the basic for most of our digital applications. Some of them are running without cloud, but especially the algorithms are running on cloud-based solutions. So, but again, this can be now on a cloud or this can be on-premise. On-performance web interact is a simple web interface. So you would hand in data, or you would allow us to collect data automatically, and you would get then an interface where you can interact with the lab. So with the R&D department, they would give you suggestions on how to improve your power plant operations, or how to go after certain problems that you may have in the plant. So what to upgrade, what to improve. And that would be an interaction platform between your power plant and our specialists. So since this was all very fast now, given the time constraint that we have, and certainly a lot of information, just to give you a visual input and a bit of a visual impression. As we've learned, we learn better when we see it visual. So how these systems would work in the plant. So you have, again, here a collection, remote and Cumulus on Performance Lab. Then we have the control systems, the classical automation systems below that, as well as the asset and the asset management system as the monitoring systems. How we see now over time the improvement potential that you could have in your plants is shown here. So you start with basically connecting and automating your plant. Then you would go into more data-driven asset management procedure and would optimize your maintenance and your availability. In the next step, then you get the health systems to it, so you get better insights in the condition of the machines and earlier warnings to react on certain condition problem. So you move basically from preventive maintenance into condition-based maintenance now. And on the end of the day, with the connection to the on-performance lab, you can go really into predictions. So working on lifetime estimations for components and these things, and this gives you an additional upside on your plant availability. Now, since very often these systems are all scattered around in your plants, if you look at them and they are not really interconnected, and we also heard that some systems are not connected to the other, and then you have a problem with that. Here an overview how we connect them together. So we have here again the full portfolio, but also see now the interaction. So collecting sensors in control systems, in monitoring systems, on Acoustic also as a sensor to that system, bringing them into diagnostic applications, and connecting these diagnostic applications now to the asset management directly, and giving the maintenance personnel direct input into their planning procedures, as well as giving then the technician the necessary input for his activities in the plant. So what you see here is two additions to the portfolio that we are going to add in the next year. They are basically in POCs now. One is bringing diagnostic directly to the plant, bringing that on premise with a diagnostic box that you see here in the middle. And then we have OnCare eDoc, which is a document management system, which will also help you to bring your documents directly into the daily work of your plants. Finally, I would give you here a short view on one of the installations that we are having. This is a specific one on Acoustic, where we use actually acoustic monitoring to detect power unit behavior. So what that helped the customer was actually to realize early clocking of the unit. So they could start earlier to flush. Usually you lose a lot of water when you have to flush the unit. And again, this would be a lost income in that sense. So we helped them to detect this clocking earlier. And in that sense, they were able to analyze and improve their operational behavior. So I think that is, in summary, what we have to add from an OEM point of view. Maybe as last statement, we think we have a full portfolio coming from the sensor to the analytics. So this is definitely an advantage if you have the full knowledge in the own organization. And we believe that we are in a good position with that in terms of helping our customers to improve those three important points that we had in the beginning, which were basically productivity, cost, and safety. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Grohmann, for a very good presentation. I'll take some questions now. If you can stop sharing your screen. So the first
How do I
question
see?
is, yeah, it must be, the option must be there on the top of
Yeah, I
the
have it.
presentation.
Thank you.
We can't see your video, that's showing low bandwidth. Maybe that's why the video got switched off.
It is switched on my side. Sorry.
Yeah, but
I
we can't
tried it
see
again.
you because it's giving us a
You
message
can't see
of
me.
low
That's a
bandwidth.
pity.
Okay, I'll
Can you
ask.
see now?
No, I can't.
Mhm.
Because it's giving us a message of low bandwidth from your side. So,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry for that.
I'll take the question anyway. So
Mhm.
first question is, how much improvement in availability is to be expected with the help of these solutions? Is this 1 to 2% or more than that? And is this a function of the plant age?
The second part I did not understand. Is it a function of?
Plant age of the plant.
It is certainly a function of the plant age, since all the plants are simply more prone to basically availability issues in terms of equipment breakdown and these things. So the 1 to 2% is certainly something that we see. We have heard in the morning that the suggestions go more into the 10%. What I think is the topic here, that we still are in an early stage in the industry, even to really have hard data on that. So there's certainly, from our point of view, an upside to that number of 1 to 2%.
Okay. Next question is that in terms of the solutions that you highlighted on care and on performance, have you deployed these solutions in Asian utilities anywhere so far?
We have deployed in China and Australia. We are in discussions at the moment in Malaysia and in the Philippines to deploy not the full portfolio, but some of them. All of the solutions are deployed globally. In Asia, we have ongoing discussions on that, yeah.
And also, you mentioned about cloud computing also in your presentation. So how are the cyber security issues addressed in cloud computing?
We basically started very early to address the topics during the design of the solutions already. So we provide an end-to-end security, which is based on a protocol that is also used in online. So that is the highest level of security that we can at the moment, I think, establish. And this is what we use. So end-to-end security from the cloud to the power plant, protocols as in banking.
Also, in your presentation, you talked about hydropower 4. This is a clarification that a participant wants. Does it refer to industry 4.0? Or
I did not get the beginning of the question.
the hydropower 4.0 that you mentioned in your presentation, is that,
Basically, this is.
if you could elaborate a bit on that.
Let's say the 4.0 concept in reality is, if you go into the IoT world, so how do you get from sensors and data to information to data-driven decisions? So that is the same context, yeah. So we refer to that in a sense of Industry 4.0, Hydro 4.0, yeah.
And also in the on performance lab, there's a question which has come. You mentioned about full control and automation, real time. So is this, where all have you deployed this solution so far? And what are the expected benefits that come from it? And if you could attach a number the participant wants to know.
Yeah. So it is deployed. It is deployed in small hydropower plants, and of course, again, the gains out of that are depending on the particular situation that you are in. But we see with customers who can play on both on price and on water consumption, up to 15% gain really in their performance. Again, depending on reservoir sizes and these things, but this is values that we have seen, and it would basically require a deeper look into the reservoir and into the reservoir structure to get more confident on that number, but up to 15% we have seen already.
Next question is, all the platforms that you mentioned, can they be deployed on private cloud servers?
We support a number of ways to do that. We support public clouds. We support installation on private clouds. We have also been working with cloud-to-cloud connection if it is a security concern that helps, or we work on premise. So all the variants are basically available.
All right. On that note, then we'll close the session. Thank you so much, Mr. Grohmann, for a wonderful presentation, for sponsoring the conference, and for answering the questions as well. We will share our contact details. If there are any more technical questions, the participants want to get in touch with you. So thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.